All right, so KTM 390 once again. Um, so this is the throttle body. My goal today was to try to port it out and then have a look at it, see how the design is, everything else like that. Now I've had a little bit of experience with this before because I had this out on my bike not so long ago, but I didn't port it out. But this mainly because I did a lot of changes to it, and then I wanted to get the bike tuned where it's at now before I go a little bit further. So now that I have the bike where it needs to be at, I decided, hey, let's go ahead and get this done, and then from there, get the rest of the tuning where it needs to be after that. So basically, what we're looking at, this is the throttle body. Now I've actually already worked on it. This is kind of the aftermath, but this is kind of me just walking through, explaining the process, showing you what you would need to do if you wanted to do the same. In total, it took about 2 hours. This is just work on this. Does not include taking stuff off the bike. I'm pretty quick. Probably took me about 30 minutes to get all that stuff off. Actually, probably less than that to be honest. But so here's what we're looking at: injector. This is the gray area KTM. Did a previous video on this one. It's kind of a pain to get out. Not gonna lie to you. This seal down here is really tight fit. So have fun with that one. As you can see, these all come factory with Loctite. This is the factory idle air control valve. This just has a spring-loaded piston that moves out of the way. I'll show you the passages for this. First gen, this is the air intake temperature sensor. We have the TPS here, that is non-adjustable, and then the actuator. So this is where the TPS goes, or sorry, the idle air control valve. You can see there's a hole down there. Still got a little debris in there, I realize that. I'll clean it all out. And then there's a port here, and then a port on the inside there. That's where that's at. Injector mounts into here. That gets screwed into there. And then this is the air temp sensor, which is on the inside of the side. So what did we do? Good question. So here is where I'm at. I'm not planning on going any further because I'm totally okay with what I've worked on. So I could have gotten much, I guess, more smooth appearance, but honestly, I wasn't super worried about it. I was worried about getting as much material hogged out and then smoothed out as much as possible. As you can see, I took a fair amount. I didn't want to go too much more than that, to be honest, because this lip right here, I didn't want to start going into where this is recessed. So, but I did take out a fairly decent amount of material through here and smoothed it out, as you can see. On the other side, same thing. So factory, this is, this shape, as you can see. The I didn't want to. I widened this out a little bit and then smoothed it out. Mainly smoothed it out, mainly because the port on the head is similar shaped, so I didn't want to do anything too crazy. But went through. That's where the injector is. Smoothed all that stuff out. I definitely opened it up on the outside and as well as the bottom, and then smoothed out through this area. So. Cleaned it up. I mean, other than that, I didn't go too far in. I pretty much, you can see kind of a lip there. That's kind of where my goal was to get to where that lip was and try to smooth out the transition as well. As you can see, in some areas I did better than others, but yeah. Now I did contemplate. I know Chad at KTM Performance has done this. The throttle plate. He removed the throttle plate and essentially cut a piece of the throttle plate to make even less restriction. And I believe he saw like a 1.5 horsepower gain just from doing that, which is a pretty good amount. But I'll be honest, like I use this thing pretty much daily, and those bolts, I don't know if you can tell, those are peened. So I would have to go in, drill those out in order to actually extract those and pull the throttle plate out. And then once you pull the throttle plate out, because I've done this before in the past whenever I was powder coating my throttle body to the Supra, and it's kind of a pain just to get in there, because you're going to want to probably go through and whatever nuts you use for that, you're going to probably want to peen those over as well, because if one of those nuts comes loose and gets sucked in, that's a wrap. That's going to get smashed up and destroy that engine. So kind of tempted to just leave that there. I don't really have any, I don't know, maybe if they get a spare throttle body, but for now, since I use this on a daily basis, okay, so here's the process. I'll go ahead and move these out of the way. Now, I have a Dremel. I use this for a lot of stuff. And what you can do is you can get these from Harbor Freight. Now, these come with a bit specifically for a die grinder, but I'm not going to lie to you, it's kind of loud to use. And die grinders, they just aren't as fast as a Dremel. And I'll be honest, I don't want to sit here and listen to a compressor all day. So what I typically do is I have my Dremel. This is the extension for it, and then I chop the end of a screw off, and then I thread these onto the screw, and then I use the Dremel to chew that out. So in addition to this is step 2. So step one is using these. These are basically 80 grit. They're it comes with its own mount for them with the Dremel kit. I'm trying to see if they can find them. Here we go. Looks like this. And then I'll use this to hog out as much material as I can. Just be careful, you don't want to sit in one area for too long. The key is this constant movement, circular pattern. So that way you maintain that smooth overall profile. And then I use these to help further refine the shape, as well as to keep the shape as consistent throughout the entire process as possible, because the idea is you want it to be smooth all the way around, right? So once I've done that, I've gone through this step. I will generally tend to use sandpaper. Sometimes I'll sand it by hand. I was using this for a little bit. These are 280 grit. And then from there, I used 400. And then I have 1,000 and then 1,500. I started doing it by hand, and then I got kind of lazy. I use a screwdriver that has a whole bunch of shrink wrap on it, and then what I do is I take my sandpaper, I'll cut it, and then I'll just make glue rolls out of it, and then I'll just use sandpaper on my Dremel, and then Dremel it out from there. I'm not looking for an award showpiece that's going on a motorcycle that nobody will ever see, except you people on YouTube. And then once I've done that, I'll go through and I will use, so Dremel has these, and I use those. I also have actually some other stuff in here that's actually pretty good. I have my own specifically for polishing that I've used in the past. So I went with black, and then from there I usually clean it up with some red, and that's pretty much what got me where I'm at now. So not too bad. Like I said, I mean, considering I just kind of went ham on it, cleaned it up as much as I could. The most important step out of all of this, out of everything that you do, no matter what, clean the living crap out of this. You got ports all up inside of here, even here, because I have this blocked off this is for the canister delete. I'm going to pull that off, and I'm going to clean the living shit out of these ports, because as you can see inside of there, see all that metal? That's not what you want inside your engine. So when you're done, clean the crap out of that, and then clean this stuff before you put it back in, because None of this stuff mixes. So do your due diligence. Make sure that stuff's cleaned up, and take your time. And remember, you don't have to be a perfectionist. I mean, it's going to help. Some people are OCD, some people aren't. At the end of the day, you know, this is not anything that's like absolutely crazy. It's a I try not to go too much into it, just because of the fact that I know it is just a single cylinder motorcycle. It's going to do whatever you want, but it's it's you know, you just have to kind of invest your time wisely, I guess. For me, I have no problems doing this because I've ported quite a few things to include entire intake manifolds for Supras. So, project like this, pretty easy. Not gonna lie, especially in comparison to doing Supra intakes and whatnot. I decided to polish an entire manifold once on the outside, and not gonna lie to you, I'm never doing that again, just because it took months. And but that's because it was the first thing that I'd ever taken the time to actually try to polish. You know, nowadays, you know, small stuff like this is pretty easy. Probably would have came out a little bit better, or I could have did it quicker had I had some different stuff with me. But I'll be honest, this was a like on the whim kind of idea where we weren't really doing much over the weekend, and I said, you know what, I might as well just pull this real quick and clean it up. So that's where I'm at. Other than that, that's pretty much all we got for today. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to drop them below. And that's it. Can you do this yourself? Absolutely. In fact, I encourage it.